Dylan Holloway deserved so much better than the Edmonton Oilers.
Hey, this is Brain Chen. Subscribe to Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you about our St. Louis Blues here in the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is going to be a really cool episode because the Blues are actually playing their rookie showcase. And I felt like I wanted to give you all an actual episode where I discuss that. However, I can't get out of my head the comments that Dylan Holloway made about his time with the Oilers, how he was disappointed that they didn't try for him. So I want to talk about that individually. I know I had Nick from Locked On Oilers on the podcast, but I want to give you my own thoughts on that. I also want to dive more into rookie camp, obviously with the showcase, and then training camp begins next week. I know I touched on it a little bit in yesterday's episode, but that interview did consume most of my episode. So I do want to be able to dedicate the correct amount of time and truly focus on everything that is going on. So let's get right into things. I personally believe that the Dylan Holloway and the Oilers, it's just such a weird situation. And there's numerous reasons as to why. And I want to read you a quote, okay? TSN posted this, and I want to make sure that I give credit to where credit is due. Holloway said this: "It rubbed me the wrong way how little Edmonton thought of me in our contract negotiations. I'm an Alberta boy. I wanted to go back to a team we went so far with. But as soon as Edmonton didn't reciprocate that feeling, I was all in on St. Louis." And here's the thing. I understand that players want to discuss how they feel, and they have the right to do so. I think we live in a really interesting time where we see players have podcasts and we see them being really expressive. And I think that is awesome. I love that players have the ability to express how they feel. However, sometimes when things get out there, there's going to be reactions. Every action has a reaction. So when Dylan Holloway said that, um, it generated a lot of comments saying, Dylan Holloway only wanted money. He knew he had a chance to go to the Cup Finals again and signed with the Blues instead. And I find it really interesting because a lot of people came at Dylan Holloway about the money. But I also want to let you all know that this isn't just hockey where players do this. I mean, even in the NFL, the Philadelphia Eagles just won a Super Bowl. They're going to be a contending team again. And there was players that left and went after the money because, again, the kind of money that you can get is life-changing. And we can have a whole debate on that. Personally, I think that money is a great bonus, and I think that kind of money is life-changing no matter how much money you make. Even an entry-level contract is a life-changing amount of money. But being said, I think that for some of these guys, that kind of money sets them up. It sets their families up, and it really does change their lives. However, I'm a firm believer in I would want to win. And I've had this discussion with friends before, and it's a really interesting discussion. Would you rather win a Stanley Cup, for instance, or would you rather go after the team that's going to give you the bigger paycheck? And I don't think there's a right and a wrong answer because, as I stated, that there is numerous reasons as to why certain players would make those decisions. I just find it, at least for me, frustrating because Dylan Holloway is not a pretentious type of player. He's not all about him. He's about his team. He's like 23. He's still so young. So when I'm seeing comments saying that he went all, diva like and he's only about the money, that's not true. He wants to win a cup. Which brings me to this. Why are we counting the St. Louis Blues out of being a cup contending team in years to come? Not this season, but years to come. Because they're a playoff contending team. They did make it to the playoffs last season. And I do believe that the Blues are a better team than they were a year ago. But why are we so quick to just count out the Blues? Yes, Edmonton went back to the finals and they didn't win. Now, if they had Dylan Holloway, would that have changed things? I don't know. I don't think so because Florida was just that dominant of a team. I can't tell you. But what I can tell you is that it's going to be hard as heck for the Oilers to get back there for a third time in a row. It's just a really interesting situation with Holloway because, again, I really like him and I see Dylan Holloway as our future. And I just think it just generates this kind of conversation where we really don't get to talk about how the money that these players sign impacts the rest of their lives. Also, if you're Dylan Holloway and you're having negotiations with the team with Edmonton and they're not really reciprocating, no offense, but why would you want to go somewhere that you feel like doesn't value you? And this isn't just hockey, friends. This is everyday life. Why would you want to go somewhere that doesn't value you? You should know your worth, your potential, your ability, and you should go to the place or team that truly does value you. And I feel like for Dylan Holloway, he had to make a decision. Do I stick with Edmonton or do I go to a team that is going to value me, that's going to give me my money, that's going to give me plenty of minutes on the ice? Okay. And that's where the St. Louis Blues stepped up and said, hey, Halls, we got you. I mean, it's crazy when you look at Dylan Holloway, right? And I want to bring up some statistics. I want to do that more where I actually talk about stats. It's I can't just assume that you all know all the stats of all the players, how I'm like so crazy with I'm actually kind of crazy with how much I know. But when he played with the Oilers the first season, 22-23, he only averaged about 9.5 minutes on the ice. With Edmonton 23-24, he averaged about 11 minutes on the ice per game. And then last season with the Blues, he averaged about 17 minutes on the ice. So he's getting significantly more playing time on the ice than he did with the Edmonton Oilers, which goes to show the role that he has in St. Louis, it's different and it's maybe more beneficial towards him than it would be with Edmonton. So I think when you really do combine all of those factors, it's less about, oh, well, I don't want to be at the Oilers. It's more like, okay, my opportunity in St. Louis, it could get me a Stanley Cup. It's going to give me more money. Oh, and I get more time on the ice. But it is a really interesting conversation and a conversation that I feel like we don't have enough as hockey fans. We don't talk about this enough about how the money can truly change these players' lives. It's astonishing how little we talk about something that is so impactful and so meaningful. So, I want to talk to you about the games. However, the games are happening as I'm doing this podcast. And I wouldn't be doing justice doing, oh, I'm going to do a game preview. No, I want to talk to you about it. So that is why the full episode will be up. So do not panic. But this clip most likely is going to be up on its own. This isn't like an episode. This is just a clip of my full episode. So that way you get your Blues content of the day. But I want to make sure that I give you the best Blues coverage this season, which is why I don't want to give you a filler segment where it's not important, where it's not entertaining, and it's not up to date. I want to be able to give you the best content possible. So I hope you can at least appreciate that. And Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even when they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. And that's where Monarch Money and its all in personal finance tool brings you an entire financial life together in one clean, easy to use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for busy people with busy lives. If you put off organizing your finances, Monarch Money is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all of your accounts in minutes, see clear data, visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money with or without a spreadsheet. So don't let the opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com. Hey, it's the next day, just like I promised, and I watched Rookie Game 1, and I want to talk about that really fast. I told you that I was going to do this just because I personally felt like I wanted to give you all the best up-to-date information. That's why you should subscribe and like to Locked On Blues here on YouTube. But let's go talk about Game 1 because that was something that got me excited. So anyways, this was against the Minnesota Wild prospects, and Dvorsky. Oh, Dvorsky. I told you about Dvorsky. He began the shooting for the Blues, and it was such a beautiful goal. I mean, the amount of talent that he has is something that he should make the team out of camp. Like, he really should. And it was a great game. Justin Carbonneau also had the dish to him as well. So, again, that is something that I wanted to remind you about. For the final goal um, of the game, and it was the late game goal, winning goal. Why did I really struggle to say that? It was Justin Carbonneau, and it was such a great pass by Otto Stenberg as well. And Stenberg's pass and just his stick awareness is something that I really do believe is like it's hard. I wish I could show you videos on here, but essentially the pass that Stenberg had, he was able to find an open slot, which was able to pass the puck across to the left side, and that's where Justin Carbonneau was able to come in and chip the puck in the net. So again, it was great team effort by both of them, but I mean, we have something really special with our younger players, and it was a 6-4 victory for the Blues. I mean, with 100 with 1 minute and 22 seconds left in the game, um, the Blues were able to just solidify that win and the prospects. So again, he ended up breaking that 4-4 tie, by the way. And again, you saw a really good game from Dvorsky. And also, how about Adam Juracek? Juracek was able to make the Blues have an early 2-0 lead. And Adam Juracek is one of those players, and I've talked to you about him numerous times here in Locked On Blues. He is somebody that got overlooked in the draft class last year because of the fact that he had an injury. He is such a talented and skilled player. And I just hope at the end of the day that people can now see that the Blues actually got a really solid piece out of Adam Juracek. Also, I just want to continue on talking about this. The Wild ended up getting 3 consecutive goals, which obviously was not good. And that's what took us into our first intermission. Now, the thing with Minnesota is I did say they're prospects. I'm not going to talk too much about the Wild. They have good prospects, right? No denying that. But again, evidently the Blues need to just work on defense, right? Um, which is ironic because that's what the guys that are up there need to do. Anyways, Adam Yeka was able to tie up the game for the Blues 3-3. And then the Wild, well, we know how that happened. So that was game 1. I was really impressed with our guys. I thought they all did such a great job, the younger guys offensively. So that was good. So, anywho, 6-4 win. Simon Robertson with an empty netter too, by the way. And you have some stars. I mean, Dvorsky is somebody that should make the team out of camp. You have Juracek, who I'm a huge fan of. Justin Carbonneau, he might take a little bit more time to develop. You know what? Why not give him a couple games? My one cat's looking at me when I said Justin Carbonneau. I hope she doesn't think that means no. But give him a couple names. But I mean, he is something really good. And he's brewing up something. So again, it was one of those things where I'm just happy, I think, about the fact that the guys looked good, right? Anyways, let's go talk about the game going on between the Blues and the Blackhawks prospects. Otto Stenberg, a minute and 18 seconds in, was able to find the back of the net. And wow, Otto Stenberg has been fire. Between the dishes and then getting in the back of the net, Otto Stenberg has really come out. showing that he has, I don't want to necessarily say star power yet, because I don't like that word. But I mean, it's the lone goal for the game. We're in the third period right now. Chicago is up 2. But at the end of the day, I was really impressed with last night's game. And these players, I mean, man, they're just so, so, so good and talented. And I think when you look at the prospects that the Blues have, you really need to just focus in on a couple of names. Otto Stenberg is one of them. And I'm happy. I mean, he had a great dish in the game last night, but I am happy that he was able to get the puck in the back of the net himself tonight, just for the pure factor of the notoriety, right? The I don't actually like that word. The recognition, maybe, just with him being able to do that. But overall, it was a really impressive game against Minnesota. Hopefully, against Chicago, they're able to tie it up. But we're in a little bit of a time zone difference, me and the Blues. And I really just wanted to talk about last night's game because it was that impressive. And I'm watching this Blues defense, right? And I think that this is something where we really need to focus on, not even just this season, but even for a few seasons to come. Because the problem with the defense is, and I'm not trying to pick apart any of these rookies, right? And it's maybe as a whole collectively, what I notice is that there's too many open gaps. And I know that's a very simplified way to say that there's not enough man to man coverage or zone coverage, but you need to do better to close up that space, because what I've noticed with the Wild and even with Chicago tonight is that they're able to make the ice look very condensed and small. And the Blues have moments where they're able to do that, and they have great zone coverage. But I mean, right? I mean, it's like Swiss cheese sometimes, and maybe just working a little bit, because when they have man to man coverage, I mean, the Blues look good on D as I'm watching, but it's early. You still have all of training camp to adjust, but it really does put things into perspective, I believe, when you're watching the prospects and you're noticing tendencies that sometimes you do see during the regular season with our older guys. And it just really makes me not worry, because I hate saying I'm not worried about, this is great. We've seen a couple great games so far, but it just makes me kind of hope that this translates into camp, and I'm sure it will. I obviously got a little bit flustered on that I ended up hitting the microphone, but man, it feels so good to watch Blues hockey again. Like, I know that this is just the prospect showcase, but like, I don't care. I love it. I like seeing Fisher and Carbonneau and Dvorsky. Like, you don't understand how much I miss Blues hockey. And I know you miss Blues hockey too, which is why you probably watch this podcast. And I got a bunch of messages, right? When the account was hacked from different people, listeners, watchers, viewers, saying how excited you are for Blues hockey to return. So I am happy too. I'm obviously excited. Like, you don't understand. Well, maybe you do. You probably do. I just really miss Blues hockey, so that's my whole rant on that. But man, what a game, and especially Justin Carbon. No, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This guy, who I spoke to, by the way, after he got drafted, and he told me that he wants to model his game around Jordan Kyrou, Travis Konechny. He did mention a Philadelphia Flyer, which I find really ironic because I was at the Flyers headquarters for the draft. But either way, he's such a talented player, and man, the Blues got a steal out of him. You know what? The St. Louis Blues might just be one of the best teams drafting guys mid to late in the first round. Let's go Blues. All right. Well, you know what I also want to talk to you about? That is FanDuel, FanDuel, FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Personally, I love using FanDuel for my same game parlays. And with me right now, it's football season, right? I'm big into the Birds. That's my team, and they have a really big game this weekend against Kansas City. So, anyways, you might hate me. You know what? No, everybody that I met from St. Louis actually does not like Kansas City. So, in that note, go Birds. But let's go cook up something, you and I, right now, okay? I am looking. It's that 4:25 start. Not a huge fan of that time for you all. And STL, it's going to begin at 3:25. So what I'm going to do, I'm doing a same game parlay. Travis Kelce, anytime touchdown. Saquon Barkley, anytime touchdown. Patty Mahomes, anytime touchdown. Jalen Hurts, anytime touchdown. I pay $10 and I can win $372. So make sure to check out FanDuel. So if you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. Place your first $5 bet. So let's talk about training camp. Training camp begins this upcoming week for the older guys. And I am so excited. I'm excited just to get the season going. It really has felt like forever since we've actually seen Blues hockey. But it's funny though, because in a way it doesn't. Like, I still remember the playoff elimination. And you know what? It took me some time. While I do a daily podcast, it did take me some time to get over this heartbreak, this frustration of, well, evidently getting eliminated when the Blues could have won that series. But anyways, let's just talk about training camp. So the Blues will be opening training camp with 58 players on the roster September 18th, which is Thursday. And it is open to the public, free to go. I always encourage people, hockey fans, because at for most teams, it is free for the public. And as somebody that covers another NHL team, I haven't really been able to go out to rookie camp. I've been busy, but I love seeing the public come out because it makes it so special. Everything is so expensive these days in life, and this is something free, and you usually get to meet the players or at least get to say hi to them when they leave if you do go as a fan. Anyways, so camp, as I mentioned, begins on the 18th. Begins at 9:30. Um, anyways, I am so excited though for this roster, and I'm gonna read you some names. Okay, I know this is like, Haley's gonna read us names. This is boring. Okay, well, you know what? We have a game coming up very soon. Okay, you know what I'm saying? The game that I am talking about is the Blues and the Stars next Saturday, and yeah, I know. Preseason hockey. I know. Shut up. Let me enjoy this. I didn't mean to be aggressive, but like, let me enjoy this. So for the training camp roster, we have Natika Alexandrov, Sam Bidden, Nick Buzad, Bushi, Justin Carbonneau, Anton Doran, DeBoer Dvorsky, Dylan Holloway, Adam Yucko, Matthew Joseph. Do I have to read all of these? Because some of these guys, professional tryouts. I'm not reading you. Jordan Kyrou. Well, Milan Lucic, whatever. Matt Luff, Hugh McGing, Jake Neighbors, Matthew Pekka, Peterson Robertson. I can't. It's so small. Shenny, Snuggy, Stansel, Stenberg, Sonny, P.U. Suter, not Ryan. Oh, it's Texie's birthday today, by the way. Thomas, Turchenko, Wagner, Walker. I just gave up. Like, I was like, you can tell I'm like struggling to read. Oh, Patrick. Okay. Defense, Broberg, Bushinger, Burns, Folk, Fisher. I like Lucas Fisher, Kim Fowler, Mark Andre, Juracek, Johansson, Kier, Kessel, Lindstein, Loof, Mayu. I hope he does make it. I hope Logan makes it. Music, Pareko, Shinneman, Skinner, and Tux. And then for goalies, obviously, we know who. Bins, Kranz, Ellis, Hof, Cop, and then Vadim. So all of our guys. I know that was hard. It was very small font. I was struggling too, okay? Listen, I was struggling. By the way, some Penguins news. Speaking of Mark Andre's, Flower is back with the Penguins. It's gonna probably just be like a one game thing, and he's gonna retire as a Penguin. So it does feel like an end of an era, and it's funny. Like obviously, I don't like the Penguins, right? However, it is one of those things where it's like, oh wow, yeah, he is not going to be playing in the NHL. Like, that's so weird. So, at least for me, that was something that I wanted to mention because when there's some of the greats, you do need to mention that. And I kind of want to do an episode, well, maybe even a segment where it's just like we talk about the greats, right? That we've got to witness maybe in the last like 10, 15 years. Because I feel like whenever we talk about greats, we always focus on like the past, but there's been some really good players in recent times. So definitely want to talk about that as well. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I know it was a little bit of a sliced episode between two different days, but I wanted to give you the most recent Blues news, and I felt like it was my duty, my job, my responsibility even to provide you with the best Blues coverage because at the end of the day, that is what it's all about. I'm going to give you one more score update, by the way. It's still 2-1 Chicago in the third. So that's that. And like always, let's go Blues!